Hey everybody, how are
Hi.
you doing today? My name is Brittany and I am your studio host today from Etcher. Hope you're all having a wonderful day. It is Canada Day, actually, here in Canada where I'm from. I live in Ontario. So if you're a fellow Canadian, happy Canada Day. If you're from Ontario too, you know what a beaver tail is. So go out and have a beaver tail and celebrate. Um, And yeah, I'm just going to get things kicked off here. Just a few things to note. If you are new, thank you for coming. So glad you are here. If you're a frequent flyer with us, then you kind of already know how the chat goes, but I'm going to explain it for the new joiners. So if you have a question, don't forget to ask. We do have a Q&A session at the end, but just go ahead and type it in the chat. I'll save it later for the Q&A just so you don't forget. But if you type it in the chat, type it in with all capital letters so I can defer it a little bit easier from a comment. Thank you so much for joining, everybody. And we have an amazing artist. We have Nathalie Brucker, also goes by Nana.
Hi.
Hi, Nathalie. Today she will be doing a lovely little rooster for us in her style, which is like a semi-realistic, cartoony kind of style. It's really cool. Can't wait for you guys to see it all. She will be going a little bit more at her own pace today, but that's okay. You guys can always re-watch it later in the YouTube channel. She will be doing a mini workshop with us where she goes more at your pace, taking you step by step in her process and how to do her style. So without further ado, I'll stop talking and I'll let Nathalie take over.
Hi, I'm Natalie. I prefer the name Nana. It's just a nickname. And I'm doing art since I can think of. It's like ever or so. And since I'm 12 or so, I do it more seriously on a kind of daily base. Now I'm 24, so I do arts for like 12 years. And yeah, everything I can do, I just taught myself. So I really never had a teacher kind of that. So if you don't have a money to go on art school or anything, this doesn't mind. Just work with it. Just try to learn as much as you can. Just put all your effort and all your soul into your art, and it will get better and better day by day. And yeah, I never went live, so I'm very excited to show you guys how I'm drawing. It was quite of a process to get here, so maybe you can learn something from me. Yeah, thank you for joining.
Awesome. All right, so I'm going to highlight your workspace. Thank you so much for that introduction. And now people can see examples of your style.
Yeah, I have like traditional piece here and another one here. And I have a digital piece of a man I did digitally. He's the protagonist of my novel. Yeah, I just enjoy drawing with different media. I like to use everything.
I love it. For those of you who don't know, Nathalie actually is writing a novel. It is currently in German, but if you head over to her Instagram, you can see highlights of it that she explains in English.
Yeah. So I think I should start with drawing. I have my paper taped on my work surface so it doesn't warp. Is it the right word? It's just, I don't want it to bend. So I taped it on the desk and now I just wet everything I want to color. I always start wet on wet. Later I work dry. No, later I work dry on wet. No, it's the other way around. Yeah, you guys know it. But now I just lay down the basic colors of the rooster and later we will detail it. And yeah.
Natalie, quick question. Where are you based in? Where are you from?
Oh, I come from Germany. I live in Stuttgart. This is the largest city in the southwest of Germany. The the folk which is placed here is called Swabian. And the Swabians are very, very famous for their way they treat other people. They're like very cold-hearted, and
Oh,
they
really?
yeah, and they try to save all their money. It's not everything is it's not like everything is true, but a lot of it is true. And
Oh,
like
wow.
if you want to get close to a Swabian, you have to get very close to him, work years and years for it, and when he closes you into his heart, you will there for always. But they are very grumpy in the beginning.
That's funny.
Yeah, and I lived here for 4 years. Before that, I lived in a very, very small town. Yeah, like 50 kilometers far away. It's not like very far. I always
Mhm.
lived in this region.
All right, so you're laying in some grass tones.
Yeah, I start with just a little green here. I love to give it a little bit of life and work apart from the line art. And I just throw in some different shades of green, brown, and yellow. I don't have a really system. There's just, I don't want the colors to get muddy. So I try to work in a greenish brown and a greenish yellow, because there are like yellows which are like reddish. And when you put in a reddish yellow with green, it will get very muddy and turn brown. So just try to avoid those kind of mistakes. Just work in the kind of same color palette.
Do you always start with the, I guess, background versus the main subject?
No, it was like very random now. I'm very nervous, so there is no really a
Oh,
system
don't be
behind it.
nervous. Don't be nervous. Everybody's here to support you. You're doing great. You're an amazing artist. I think you're more excited than nervous.
Yeah, it's a mix of both. So, and now we will just wait for the green parts to dry, and now we can start with the rooster. I just put down some brown and red for his wings and stuff like this. I mean, roosters are just beautiful and they're so funny. I grew up with own chicken, and they have amazing personalities. Like really, each of them is different and they're so colorful and they're funny to watch. You guys should try it.
You're right. I had a friend who her parents had a farm and they had roosters and chickens. It was pretty funny.
There's like a chicken maniac in Germany. His name is Happy Hoon, and he wrote like 5 different books about chicken, and he's so crazy. And I love this dude. He's great. And I really watch nearly every YouTube video he has. It's like over 500. He makes tips about how to make chicken happy, and he has like lots and lots of chicken. He's awesome. Go check him out, even if you can't speak German. Yeah.
So you're normally actually, you do digital work.
I like to do different stuff, but in this moment, I prefer digital work because, oh, digital is just great because you can correct anything. You can try a lot of things because, I mean, you can just go backwards if you need to. And I just like the control you have over the digital media. If I want to just let myself down into work and just lose my mind, I go with traditional because there you can just hang out and let the color do its own stuff and see how it works and be like, I don't know, what is this word? Like you just see how it evolves. You don't know what happens during the process. But if I want to have the whole control, I go with the digital.
I see. Question for you. What did you lay down the drawing with? I guess they're wondering what ink you used.
It's like I love to use different media. So it was very hard to find the right ink because I love to draw with inks, but also with watercolors. I love to use Copics over watercolor paintings and ink paintings. So I needed a ink which is not dilutive to alcohol markers and water, which is pretty hard to find. But I found a Japanese ink maker. They make it for those manga people, and
Oh,
this
cool.
ink is awesome. I have it kind of pen. I don't know if you
Oh, I
guys can
see.
see this, and
It's like
it
a
has a
water
very
brush
yeah,
almost.
it's a water brush. I just filled it with the ink because I love how different the shapes of the strokes can be, how it turns alive, and it's like very thick and you have to give up your control about it. I just love this control losing thing about traditional art.
Yeah.
And so I used like a fine liner for those very detailed things like the circle around the eye or anything. But for the more broader things like the wings or anything, I use my pencil pen thing.
Brush pen.
Yeah, brush pen.
So, any particular like areas that you're putting darker colors for depth right now, or you're just doing a wash of a few different tones?
Yeah, I just work the base. I just work here on the base because yeah, the rooster just has different colors, and later when the first wash is dried, we can work on more detailed things like shadows and anything, but now we just have to lay down the base. I mean, you guys can feel free and just color it in any way. Roosters can have plenty different colorations. That's so exciting about them. They come in all shapes and sizes.
That's true. I've seen black roosters with like red and orange. Just reading some comments here, people saying that they had chickens. Yeah, they all have different personalities. Layla here says, I have a small collection of chickens in our bakery, all souvenirs from our customers. Oh, nice.
I just love when people honor the animals we have. I think they get way too less attention for the personalities they have and for the way they are. And I think we should honor our animals more. And we should take a closer look on how they behave. I think our chicken, they really loved us. I mean, it's hard, but we ate them after some time.
Yeah.
But it's just the circle of how it is. And the time they spent with us, really loved them. And They roamed around our whole garden and we nearly never gave them food. They just picked everything they found. So I think that's the best way we could handle them, but
Free
everyone
roam
should.
chickens are great.
Yeah.
They produce really tasty eggs.
Yeah. Yeah. In the winter, we had nearly none of them. I mean, every couple days maybe, but most of the time of the winter, we don't have any eggs, but that was fine.
So I noticed that you're doing this technique where you start to blot the drawing with a paper towel. Is that to stop bleeding in certain areas that you don't want?
Yeah, I'm very like roughly handed. So I mean, I just work very roughly, and there are like guys who can work very detailed with everything. But as you can see, my brush is like very thick, and I just I don't mind if there are like small mistakes. It just makes the personality of the artwork.
I agree.
So now I will use a blow dryer to just dry the first layer so we can go on, just to, that you guys know.
Yeah, no problem. So I love that Zoom has this feature. It just cuts out the noise so we can't hear the blow dryer. While Nana is doing that, I will just let you guys know, I'm going to drop a link for it in the chat. Her mini workshop is on July 22nd, and she is going to be going into more depth and step-by-step process of how she creates her style. I will get her to discuss a little bit more of what she's going to be doing. But for now, if you are curious, go and check out that link.
The funny thing is, I never had a blow dryer before. I got it yesterday. I just let my pictures dry, and while they dry, you can do like plenty stuff. Just think about the next steps you want to do or do whatever. It just gives my heart calmness to just wait for a layer to dry. I mean, sometimes I am very impatient and I just wanted to dry like very aggressively. But now I've got a blow dryer, which will make a lot of things more simply. And yeah, maybe I will use watercolors a little more after today.
What I like about the blow dryer too is sometimes you can get cool effects by like pushing the color in certain directions.
Oh, that's true. I never thought about that.
Sometimes I make my own wrapping paper for gifts, and I will use watercolor and just kind of push it around with a blow dryer to get cool like tie-dye effect almost.
Oh, that's interesting. I really never thought about that, but I love to craft own gifts. It's just very personal.
So adding some depth and shadows here.
Yeah, kind of. So now I will start to give the leaves more color and deepness, and we will just start working on it. I mean, I think the fun thing with watercolors is that you work on layers, and each layer will give some new highlights and some new perspectives, and you just see how it evolves. I see I have the reference picture I drew some days ago, and it already looks a lot different than the thing I draw now. Like everything is just unique, and I love that about traditional art.
I agree, but sometimes it can be frustrating when you're trying to recreate something.
Yeah, I once had a commissioner, and I've sent him the original and it got destroyed by the post, and I was very mad, but I thought, okay, I will draw it again because the customer paid. And yeah, so I tried to recreate it, but I really failed. So in the end, I totally looked different. I mean, it looked beautiful, but it was different.
Mm-hmm. So while you were using the blow dryer, I actually mentioned your mini workshop coming up. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about what you're going to be teaching us to paint?
Yeah, I will draw a little fox, and there I will show you how I lay down the base with the watercolors like I do now, and I will explain it in more depth, I guess. And I will show you how to start getting your painting to life by using color pencils later. I mean, I don't know about different shading techniques with watercolor because I just adore working with different media. And when all my watercolor base is done, I continue with color pencils and sometimes like markers and anything. And after I finished with them, I also like to use like gouache or anything to make last details. And I will show you how I work with different media. And maybe I can like spark the thing of inspiration in you guys for working with different media.
Working with multimedia is really fun. I also do that sometimes. Sometimes you can cut corners that way. Meaning like you can, you can get away
Make
with
it
certain
faster.
things that you normally wouldn't have been able to do.
But also working with mixed media is like the most expensive thing you can do because you have to purchase everything. So
yeah,
it's also a very hard thing.
if you're an art supply hoarder like me, you have a lot of different things on hand and it's easy to do. But yeah, if you want to get into it and you don't have things, it does take a pricey trip to the art store.
I try to manage my art stuff hoarding tendency. So if I have like materials I really like to work with, I stop myself from buying another. So I've got some paper I adore, and now I stick with this paper, and I won't buy any more paper until I finished the, what is this calling? This bundle of paper.
Pad?
Pad, yeah. Until I finish the pad, I try just to stop myself buying another one, because on this way I can just prevent of buying thousands of different stuff I will never use. You guys have to know I feel very honored that some of you just took their time to watch me. It really means a lot to me.
Aw. Well, you produce beautiful work. So we're happy to give you a platform to teach people your style. She's blushing, everybody. You can't see it right now, but she is.
Oh.
We got a question here, and just in case anybody else is wondering, Clary said, what classes are best for beginners? Actually, all of our classes are formulated to be more for beginners. We try to keep it to beginner to intermediate level with a heavier focus on the beginner side. So if you're absolutely brand new to painting, we have the workshops for you.
And maybe
Or
one tip for,
sorry.
oh,
Yeah, go ahead.
maybe one tip for beginners, try to look at different artists and try to analyze what you love about their art, because every of our art styles is just a wild combination of different artists we adore. I mean, I can tell any names on this piece right now, but it's just like I've copied thousands of elements I've seen before. Like nothing is new. You can't create something like very new and unique. Your style just makes it new and unique, but your style contains out of so many different styles. So if you see an artist who, for example, makes beautiful noses and you notice, oh, this artist, his noses are so beautiful, I love them, just copy them. And you can match his noses with maybe the eyes of another artist. And then you created something very new. Just analyze what you love and recreate it.
I love that. You're so insightful. Just got this comment here. Just signed up for this mini workshop. Oh, thank you, Kathy. Using different medias is what did it for me, as just purchased some pens to add to my watercolor art. Yeah, exactly. So sometimes if you're unsure about watercolor, it takes doing multimedia to get comfortable with other mediums. I know for a long time, that's what I did before I was really comfortable with watercolor. And then Nathalie's workshop is the perfect place for beginners, in my opinion.
Oh, I can't wait to see you guys there.
Super exciting. If anybody has any questions related to what Nathalie is currently doing, don't be shy. I'm also going to put in the chat this little survey. If you wouldn't mind just filling it out at the end of today's demo, it really helps us out to know what we're doing wrong or what we're doing right in future demos. If you guys have any suggestions for things that you want to see in the future, there's also a little comment section you can fill out. Yeah, if you notice something that maybe we could have improved on a little bit today, go ahead and put that in there. It takes less than 2 minutes to fill out. It's a little multiple choice at the comment section at the bottom. Or if you want to just tell us how great Nathalie and I did today, we're perfectly okay with that too. Yeah, just don't forget to fill that out, guys. It really helps us out. Just another thing to note too for our mini workshops, they are a very, very small price for the amount of knowledge that you learn. That's one comment that I always see in the feedback section, that they can't believe that they're only about $6. And it's a lot that you learn from the artist. It's an hour-and-a-half class. The reason why I say about $6 is because depending on where you're from, the conversion rate might be a little bit different. As a Canadian, it's about $8 for me. It is in US dollars, so depending on where you're from, it might be a little bit more expensive. Can you tell which paper you are using? I think I joined late. This letting us know.
It's I have to look it up because it's in German.
Oh, no problem, no problem.
I can always
here. Do that later too. Oh, you have it right there. Cool. Canson.
Yeah. I love them,
here.
but I also love Hahnenmühle. It's a German brand. Hahnenmühle is basically like rooster. How's this thing calling, which makes the you have this little grains and it makes flour out of them and it circles around. What is the name for this?
Grain that makes flowers and it circles around.
Yeah, it's a billy. You put grains in it and it makes flour. It's like a very old thing, and they're
a
mill.
It's on the tip of my tongue. A mill, yeah, a mill.
Yeah, and Hahnenmühle is rooster mill, and they have a little rooster as their little branding logo. And I really
Okay.
love their paper. I think I tried nearly everything. Yeah, and it's pretty heavy because I really don't like the sparping thing paper likes to use when it gets wet. So I prefer working with thicker paper, just feels, yeah, more like it has a better quality or anything.
Someone here is saying, Annabelle is saying, yeah, I have a Hanemule. Sorry, I'm not going to be able to pronounce that right. Hanemule sketchbook. It's awesome paper.
It is. I never visited their production place, but I want one day. Also, maybe you guys know Faber-Castell. They're like
Oh, yeah.
really close to me, and I visited their production place once,
Oh,
and it's
wow.
so
That's so
exciting to
cool.
see how pencil are made. It's like so fascinating, and they have a museum, and you can go just watch how they made the colors like 1 century ago. It's 1 century. Is it like 100 years? Yeah, it's
Yeah,
100 years. And yeah, it's very interesting to see how colors were made back then. You should
yeah, that's super
definitely
cool.
take the chance as an artist to visit a place where they show how to make those stuff. It's so interesting. I mean, you don't really learn something like how to draw, but it's just interesting to see how people manage to get colors before
I
our
agree. I think
days
it,
where
oh, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
no, it's just in Germany they call it sehenswert. It's really, you should see it. It's a must watch. It's a must watch.
I was just going to say, I think it does help you a little bit as an artist to know how the things that you use are made. That way
Maybe.
you can like know how they work better. So if you're adding, let's say if you're an acrylic artist and you're adding, you know, mediums and stuff to your paint, it does actually help to know what the ingredients are that go into the paint making process.
That's true. So interesting. Brittany mentioned that I'm writing a novel, and it is, yeah, right, very far before our time. That's so interesting if you research a lot of things from back then, how different their lives just be. Just think about traveling. It's so exciting, and also very weird that people just had horses back then and they traveled weeks and weeks to get somewhere. Just think about it. And today we just sit in our cars and drive anywhere. Just it's so natural for us. So, and now I'm nearly finished with the base, and I will take a final blow drying in just a minute or so, and then we will start with the color pencils. And then the true magic happens.
Oh, can't wait. I love the colors so far.
Yeah, you have to
Super.
thank the rooster. I just copied the original base here. Color color and natures are just beautiful. I mean, I when you look at something, it's just so perfect. And I always think like, how did the nature came up with this? It's like nature is not thinking, but it's also thinking. It's very weird. I don't know.
Just reading some comments here. If anybody is wondering, we do workshops for schools and companies sometimes who want to do like a fun activity together. We do workshops in that style. So if you are a school teacher and you're thinking, hey, it would be fun to get Etcher in here and teach some kids some art, we actually do that. It's a virtual kind of concept, just like this. So your class would be all together in one room, and then they would just log on into a private Zoom meeting with an artist. And yeah, they would just teach away for, I believe, an hour and a half, or you might be able to get a slightly longer lesson organized with us. You just have to contact us at hello@etcherstudio.com. I will put that in the chat now.
So and now I just add some kind of subtones on it. Here I use the Faber-Castell Polychromos color pencils. I have them for like 10 years or maybe longer, I don't know. And I just replace empty pencils. I really love them.
They are a good brand.
But I really want to get my hands on those very expensive Caran d'Ache color pencils,
Yeah.
to be honest. But sometimes I think, oh, maybe I'm not as professional enough to just try them. Maybe my color pencils are just enough. So I try to stop myself from getting another stuff.
You have so much self-control with buying art supplies. I'm impressed.
My husband is like, he organizes the money at home. He's very good in this. He's the thinker. I'm the dreamer, I guess. And he tries to stop me from doing silly stuff. I have to dry
maybe
it
for a birthday
again.
gift.
Maybe one day.
We will be doing a Q&A session, in a moment. So don't forget to ask your questions. I will save them in a little note file. A little comment here I want to share with you. Nana, you should write a children's book about roosters. That's from Kathy.
Oh, I would love it, to be honest. I would love to do a children's book about dinosaurs one day, maybe.
Oh, that'd be cute.
Yeah, I mean, I just loved dinosaurs when I was small, and I was a freak about them. I knew everything about dinosaurs, like really everything. And just recently, my husband and me, we watched a documentation about dinosaurs. I maybe watched like 1,000 times when I was younger. And I was all the time like, oh, look, this is this one. And this is this one. You know that? And oh, he was so annoyed about me.
Aren't like chickens and roosters technically dinosaurs?
I guess.
Or they come from dinosaurs or something?
I mean,
I can't remember.
Birds evolved out of reptiles,
right,
as mammals did. So, I mean, they have close relatives. And birds evolved in another direction as mammals did. But technically, all mammals and birds were dinosaurs once. So you can see it like that, I guess.
I learned recently that scientists have discovered that the T-Rex probably actually had feathers.
Maybe. We will never know.
We will never actually know, but it was an interesting concept. If anybody's interested in dinosaurs, they should try to look into that. Okay, I love what's happening now with the colored pencils. You really are getting the depth and shading and showing the texture as well.
That's a cool thing about if you have a heavy paper and a textured paper. I mean, there's like hot pressed watercolor paper and there's cold pressed. And I love cold pressed and rough paper variants because there you can layer out color pencils even better because the paper just has more texture for the color pencil to get laid on. And so you can build way more layers that you can do with a hot pressed paper.
That's a good little tip to know.
And I use different kind of pencil. I have the polychromos, but I also have the Faber-Castell Albrecht Dürer, which is an aquarelle watercolor pencil, and it's way softer than the polychromos. So it gets on the paper even easier. So you can make very neat highlights with it. Like here, yeah. I do on the back.
That's super cool. So Natalie, in about 10 or so minutes, I'm going to start the Q&A.
Yeah.
If you need to still draw while I ask you questions, that's totally okay.
Yeah.
Cynthia says here, the Caran d'Ache are so delicious. You should get them, but you are fine with your polychromos. They are also fantastic. I have too many supplies, but love them all.
I've heard that they combine very well, polychromos and the Caran d'Ache Luminage. So maybe I would get them. I don't know. It's just like I always struggle with do I need something? I like to live a very minimalistic lifestyle. I just love the way how it makes life easier in some ways. And so I always ask myself, do I really need something? Maybe it's sometimes the wrong way to look at things if you just look at the need aspect. I mean, we have the privilege, let's say it like this, to get your hands on stuff like this. So maybe we should use it, but maybe you just should think about it. I don't know which is the right way. I just try to think about it.
That's a good point. Some great questions here I'm saving for the chat. Sorry, for the Q&A in the chat. Someone said, I'm a big fan of left-handed artists. I like very much, so much your style, your painting style.
Thank you. You guys can see that I work with the left hand. I was just wondering like how you can guys tell that I'm not seeing myself when I work. I just work.
Right. Someone's wondering, are you just putting the colored pencil where the shadows are and leaving the watercolor for the highlights?
Oh, I don't really know if there is a kind of system. I just put color where I think color belongs to. Like watercolor has the word. I missed the word. It has the tendency to be very pale. And with the color pencils, I can just intensify the color. So I just put it anywhere where I think color belongs, but it doesn't need to be the shadow areas. It can also be light areas. I mean, here around the back feathers, I just colored everything with the pencil. I just used the watercolor as a strong base where where I can work with.
Yeah, and you use the white watercolor pencil for highlight rather than shadow.
Yeah.
Another question here relating to colored pencil. Watercolor would have endless possibility of color range than the colored pencil. How do you determine which colored pencil to be used on the painting?
I don't know if I'm very systematical and analytical. I just do what my feelings tell me, I guess. So I just pick a color which I think is right. And most times it just matches. So maybe just let your heart or your like eyes tell you what feels right in this moment. I mean, art is a hard thing, so people should use their heart maybe to create art and not think so much about it. That's the thing behind art, right? To feel it and to let yourself fall right into it.
I love that.
And I try not to think as much as about it. I also do this when I'm writing. I just see what my heart tells me in the process. I have like in Germany, it's called ein roter Faden, which is a red string you put in between milestones you want to reach, and then you pull yourself through this yellow string, through this red string, and you follow the path you laid down. But in between, you maybe you leave the path. You're just watching to this red string. It guides you, but sometimes you get loose of the track. So maybe you just should discover what your heart and your feelings tell you while doing art and creative stuff.
Oh, I love that. That's a good way to put it. See, we were talking before we went live about languages and how in different languages things will have, like, it's hard to translate it into English, or it'll have a totally different meaning versus the English translation. So yeah, that German saying is amazing. I love the way it's put.
Yeah, I love the German language. It's wonderful. When I was younger, I couldn't acknowledge its beauty, but as soon as I started writing my novel, I just saw day by day how beautiful and yeah, how graphically our language is. And I wish more people could speak it, because it has a wonderful nature in it.
Wow, the adding all the different individual highlights on the feathers really bring it to life.
Yeah, it's true, right? I mean, amazing how an artwork can change just in some minutes. Sometimes I start with an artwork and I think, oh gosh, it sucks. And it turns out beautiful.
Sometimes you just got to keep pushing.
Yeah. Don't give up. Just keep drawing. But sometimes you have to know how when you lost the war. I mean, sometimes I can't save an artwork. Sometimes it's just ugly. This happens. But then just start over. Don't be depressed.
Yeah,
just start over.
Ramona here in the chat says she has a fun old soul, and a couple of people agree. I also agree.
What?
You have an old soul. So
what
that
does
means,
this mean?
So, I guess this might not be like a term in Germany. So having an old soul means that you're a young person, but you're kind of wise beyond your years.
Oh, that's so cute.
I think that's a good way to put it. You tend to like things that maybe an older generation how they would think, and you're wise beyond your years.
Oh, that's very nice from you. I love some of those old um I hate it if I if I don't have the right word in my mouth. It's just like older generations tend to teach their children some values that
Hmm.
I really like a lot. I love a lot of new values like tolerance. For example, this is a
Hmm.
very, very important value we have in our newer times. But I also love a lot of old values like you should take your time for everything. In our modern times, we make so many things at the same time, and we just rush through everything, and everything has to be fast and exciting. But I also enjoy boring moments and yeah, live the moment.
Hmm. You like to live in the moment rather than just recording it on your phone to watch later.
Yeah, yeah, really, I'm not that big of a YouTube or Instagram user. I just
Hmm.
jump in there from time to time when I feel for it, but I'm not like the person who's scrolling through it a lot of time.
Yeah, you're for
I
sure an
just
old soul.
I have so many hobbies I love to do. I won't have time for them if I would spend so much time on the internet.
Yeah.
So now I use some gouache. I have it from Schminke. It's also a German brand, I guess.
Hmm.
And I just give the leaves down there some, I don't know what the word is, but those things where the plant syrup, plant syrup, oh
Oh,
gosh.
maybe like the spine of the leaf.
Yeah, I draw them.
I'm not sure if that's the proper terminology for it, but
But you guys understand
yeah.
what I mean. It's ivy, right? It's ivy, which has
The type of
those.
plant.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, I think like, well, maple leaves have them too. Like spines of it, but they're like, it's almost like veins in the leaves.
I think on the original reference there were like wine leaves, but I love the effect of the white strings the ivy has.
Mm-hmm.
Just looks so witchy.
So I'm gonna start asking you a couple questions that I saved for the Q&A.
Yep.
We just got one in here. Who is your role model in the art field?
Oh, I have got a lot. Um, do you guys know Ethan Becker? He's a YouTuber.
Ethan Beck.
He's absolutely crazy. Like he's I mean, I seem very calm at this moment. I have like two personality sides, I guess. One is like very, very crazy and loud and straightforward. And I really connect to this guy. He's awesome. Like, he has a lot of tips I like to use. There's also Aaron Blaise. He was a former illustrator for Disney. He made Nala. He animated Nala for The Lion King, or this tiger at Aladdin. I don't know his name, but he animated him. And he has a lot of tips on how to draw animals. And he is such a calm soul, and I love him. You can just spend hours listening to him.
Oh, I love that. Lion King was actually one of my favorite movies growing up, and me and my mom recently got tattoos of Nala and her mom, like kind of cuddling. So it's like me and my mom in the tattoo.
Oh,
But
that's
anyways,
cute.
yeah, the I think the tiger's name was it Persia in Aladdin? I don't know. I can't remember. But anyway, another question here. How to reduce shivering hands when painting minute lines. I feel I shiver hands. I feel my hands shiver. How to reduce that?
Oh, that's a good question. I have a very shaky hand. It's just
So do
comes
I.
with it comes with practice. And maybe you can use it. Like I told you guys that I have this brush pen with the ink in it, right? And I
Mhm.
have such a shaky hand that if I use a usual like ink liner, it I won't have any clear lines. Like no line would ever be clear. So I try to work around it and just like do it so freestyly that it won't matter. Like I just work around my problem here because I can't solve my shaky hand. It's just like how it is. And it will get better with practice. That's for sure. But I just think I always had a shaky hand. I can't even cut a straight line. I just can't. So I work a way where I don't have to have perfect lines. I mean, there are artists with that which has like super straight lines and clean and everything is so smooth, and I'm very jealous, to be honest. But
It's hard.
every art style is different, and maybe some of those perfect artists, I just call them like this. You guys know the right term for it. Maybe they are jealous for people who just can go with the flow. Maybe they are jealous because they can't. I don't know. I just accept the way I am because I can change it.
That's a good point. I think I'm trying to think of some things that I do because I also have shaky hands. Um, and sometimes, sometimes when you have a little bit too much caffeine, it doesn't help. But also, what I think is if you're trying to get really straight lines, sometimes using a script liner that's a smaller round brush, but it's got long bristles, will help reduce the look of shaky lines a little bit more. But yeah, like you said, I think it's just more practice.
In the end, I like to work around some lines again because when I put watercolor and color pencils on them, lines tend to fade and I refresh some of them um, just to give it some depth again.
Another question for you here. How do you pick your color palette?
As I said earlier, I try to look at the undertones. I think this is the right term for it. So if I use like here on the green part, I mixed, sorry, I mixed yellow and green and brown. And I use a greenish brown and a greenish yellow so that they have the right undertones so the colors don't get muddy. And here with the feathers, you have like greens with that turn brownish and greens that turn bluish. And here I used a bluish green and a greenish blue. So we stay in the right color area. So I don't know if this has answered your questions the right
I think
way.
it does. Great answer. Um, which medium is your favorite for scenery painting?
Oh, it really just depend. I did a lot of scenes traditional, um, but I also love to work digital here. And when I work traditional, I really nearly always start with watercolor as a base. And I use Copics very much, and like color pencils. Sometimes I start with watercolors and gouache in the beginning and then build it up. But I really nearly always use the full range of products.
Let's see here. How to reduce shivering. Yeah, we just got that one. Cool. I think I got all the questions I saved. If anybody has any more, now's your chance because we're going to be wrapping up any minute now.
Time went by so fast.
It does.
I haven't even noticed it. It was a lot of fun.
I'm glad you had fun and you got over your nerves pretty quick, I could tell.
Can't wait for the mini workshop. Guys, you should check in. I would love to spend some more time with you.
I'll put it again in the chat. If you were curious and wanted to know more details about it, there's a link right there for you all. Also, I'm going to put a link for the Facebook group that is exclusive to those who join our demos and workshops. It is just a like-minded community of people creating art and posting it. Sometimes they ask for opinions or critiques, or they just want to share their art, and you're more than welcome to join and do so as well. And we also have a lot of our teachers as part of that Facebook group. So if sometimes if you have questions for teachers, you know, they might be able to answer it on there as well, or you can reach out to them on their own Instagram. Like Nana's Instagram is nana.brucker, which I put in the chat earlier, and I will grab it again for you all if you are curious. Questions here, last minute ones before we go. Question, what did she use for the white highlight? She used a watercolor pencil, right? And then gouache.
Yeah, right.
And then what is the difference between natural hairbrush and synthetic hairbrush?
To be honest, I never used a natural hairbrush. They're just like very expensive and I never got one. I have a mixed brush with synthetic and natural hairs, and I really love this brush. It's this one. I think it was 30 euros, and I really adore it. It has such a beautiful tip and it soaks up the color very well. But I don't really know if you need them. I just got one like 2 years ago, and I try to care a lot for my pencils. I have a special soap and I built a rack to dry them after I draw it because I want them to look nice. Oh, and I forgot, sometimes I add like little sprinkles on the bottom of the painting. I have a very, very cheap brush here. It's like the cheapest one you can get. And I just put it into color and then sprinkle some dots on my painting because I think it looks beautiful. I love it.
I like that effect. Sometimes I do that and I use a toothbrush. It's really good for that.
Oh, that's good.
It's cheap and it's good for it. Last question here. What is the black ink brand that you use to outline everything?
I've got it here. It's Deleter. It's the black 4. Maybe I can show it. That's the Deleter Black 4 ink. It's wonderful. It's very thick. You have to get used working with it. In the beginning, it was just a mess for me. I tried it with a fountain pen this really didn't work at all. So I switched over to the brush pen, and then I fell in love with using this water fountain brush pen thing.
Awesome. All right, everybody, thank you so much. If you have more questions for Nathalie about her process, then I highly suggest joining her mini workshop, where she'll be going more in depth with how she does things. And it's a little bit more time. It's an 1.5-hour class. I just put the link for the survey again below. It really helps us if you can fill that out. Like I said previously, if you have any comments or suggestions, there is a comment box at the bottom. Or if you just want to tell us how great of a job we did, that's perfectly okay too. Also, here is the link again for, oh, that's the survey link. Sorry, I meant to put her mini workshop link again. So I'll just put that in now. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining today. I will put us all back on the screen here so we can say bye. Thank you, Nana. That was a great class. You did so well. I know this is your first time ever going live, and you're a little bit nervous, but you did a great job. And such a beautiful and cute little rooster. I love your style.
Thank you.
So if you're like me and you love Nana's style and you want to learn more about how to do this semi-realistic, cartoony, I guess you would describe it as, is that accurate to say?
Yeah.
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 Then I highly suggest joining her, and you'll be able to learn how to paint a fox. Thank you, everybody. They're saying they really enjoyed this demonstration. Thank you both. So enjoyable. Thank you all. It really means a lot. Hope you all have a great day. Oh, want to say some closing words there, Nana?
Yeah, wherever on the world you are, I hope you have a very beautiful day or night. Yeah, just enjoy the day and don't get mad of anything which is happening out there. Just concentrate on your art.
Oh, that's lovely. Good message. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful day. And again, happy Canada Day to all my Canadian friends. Bye. You did so good.